And breaking news this morning from Germany, where prosecutors revealed stunning new developments about the co-pilot who deliberately crashed that passenger jet with 150 people on board into the French Alps. They say they have found evidence. The co-pilot, 27-year-old Andreas Lubitz, hid evidence of an illness from his employers. They found no suicide note. NBC's Katie Tour is following the very latest developments from Germany. Good morning, Katie.
Good morning, Jose. The German prosecutor's office has released what they've been able to find so far in both the childhood home of Lubitz and the Dusseldorf apartment. They say that they found no evidence of a suicide note or any sort of note claiming responsibility for this crash. No evidence of religious or political affiliations either, but they did find evidence of illness. So they're not saying what illness exactly, but German media has been widely reporting that he suffered from depression. They also found that the illness was something that he was being treated for presently, that there were doctor's notes, some recent ones that span the past few days, and including the day that he was on that plane, the day that he crashed that flight, which means that he was ignoring a doctor's note that told him to stay home, to not go to work. They found evidence that he was hiding all of this from his employer, which would coincide with what Lufthansa has been telling us, that they had no warning signs, they didn't know anything was wrong, that his co-workers had never told them that anything was wrong with Lubitz. It also coincides with what friends, have been telling us here in Montebar, that they never saw anything wrong with him. Also, friends of his from the flight club that he used to belong to, they never saw anything wrong. Clearly, he was quite good at hiding whatever was going on in his head from other people. Right now, investigators are still going to be looking at, though, whether or not there was what the motivation was for this and whether or not it was premeditated. Were there any personal issues at play here? The German media is reporting that he had a girlfriend and could have been going through some sort of breakup at the time, but NBC News has not been able to verify any of that at this point. Jose.
Katie, thank you so very much. And joining me now is Brian Claypool, who began his legal career defending Airbus. What a pleasure to see you.
Thanks for having me, Jose.
You're calling on all airlines to immediately implement changes in flight crew screenings. What specifically?
Well, Jose, first of all, I think it's irresponsible for Lufthansa to come out and say, oh, Lubitz was 100% fit and he hid all of this from us. I think airlines like Lufthansa and all airlines worldwide need to do better vetting of the fitness of pilots before they're hired, and after they're hired, there needs to be continued and ongoing screening of the mental fitness of pilots. It's not good enough to say, well, a pilot hid this from us. For example, Lubitz years ago had a mental health issue. The reason why we don't know what that was is because the German president came out and said, well, there are privacy rights afforded to the pilot. Well, the privacy rights should be trumped by public safety, and we need to start digging deeper.
Brian, so what is it that can be done? I mean, even in the United States, when a pilot gets, recertified, goes through a series of a battery of medical tests, but not psychological screening on a yearly basis, right?
That's true, but what you need to do is, for example, retrieve all of the medical records within the last 10 years leading up to hiring a pilot. Ask for all mental health records related to...
Can you do that? I mean, can you do that? Well, I don't know if you can do that in the United States.
Well, no, you can in certain occupations. Law enforcement, firefighters, military. There are certain occupations where you can. My point is we need to generate legislation that affords the right of an airline to look into the mental health background of a prospective pilot. And here's another thing, Jose. Do you know that the FAA regulations don't even speak to the issue of the retention of a pilot once they're hired? In other words, there's initial screening, but once a pilot's hired in the U.S., there is no further mental health assessment of that pilot. That needs to be changed as well.
Brian Claypool, thanks for being with me. It's good to see you.
Thank you.